picture on my timeline. Saw your picture on my timeline.
Welcome back to the channel. This is TÉCNICA-RC, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a breakdown on my RC10 B1.5 four-wheel drive. So this buggy, my RC10 B1.5 four-wheel drive, started out as this. This is my RC10 B1.5, which started life as RC10 T2 truck. This is my RC10 T2 that I raced at Vintage Nationals, and this is what one of these is what I converted into a buggy. It's a four-wheel drive conversion of a RC10 B1.5. As you can see, this four-wheel drive conversion is basically, or it's actually, two RC10 T2 transmissions. My first attempt at making a four-wheel drive failed because the gearing wasn't right, and I had to play with the pulleys in order to make, the transmission work correctly with each other. And it always clicked, it never ran right because of two transmissions. I was using an RC10 GT front transmission and a regular RC10 rear transmission, and since the final gear ratios are different, the pulleys that I was using, they never meshed correctly, so the belt would skip. So for dog bones, I use RC10 B44 front dog bones, and caster blocks and spindles from the B44. The only problem that I run into with this is that on down travel, I have a little bit of towing, and it's not a lot, but it's noticeable. But I'm still gonna race like that. A couple of years ago, I tried to make a RC10 Weareae car into a four-wheel drive. I saw other cars that were being built. There's actually a kit or parts that you could buy to convert your RC10 two-wheel drive Weareae car into a four-wheel drive, and it's on Shapeways. If you look for either the 10.4 or the 410 parts, they'll sell you the front transmission, they'll sell you belt tensioners, they'll sell you the spindles, and you could buy those parts and make your own four-wheel drive RC10. But I wanted to do something different, and since I love this version of the conversion, the B1.5 conversion, I've always been a fan of Klein arms. I don't know why, I always liked them. So I decided to make my own version of a four-wheel drive RC10 using the B1.5 concept. The shock towers are by Factory Works. As I was building this car, Jeff Millar reached out to me and told me that, when I'm done and everything is settled, I should contact him about making new shock towers. So the front shock tower, or the front transmission, actually bolts down to the front shock tower itself. And it's pretty sturdy. These Factory Works shock towers are very beefy. There's not a lot of flex. I added these braces, chassis braces, since I couldn't go the normal route and go from here all the way to the front. I use these tubes. These are standoffs which I tied to the shock tower and to the chassis, and eliminating a lot of flex. The steering belt cranks are actually made for the RC10. They're off of eBay, and you know, they come in different colors and stuff, but I wanted to use steering that was actually easily obtainable. I think you can use RC10 T2 steering, RC10 steering belt cranks, but I decided for these. I've had good experience with these steering belt cranks. I use them on my other projects. A lot of people ask, how come I didn't do single belt? You know, it's less problems, less design issues. I don't know, I just wanted to do a dual belt. They look cool. It's a lot harder to figure out the different belt size, and I have a whole bunch of belts, and even though I took the measurements and stuff, a lot of stuff changes and shifts and stuff. So, you know, I could have just I could have put this pulley on this side and just run a single belt all the way to the back. No issues at all. One belt, that's it. But I just wanted to make something different, you know, dual belt. I just wanted to be difficult, you know, and I get a dual belt. As for the T2 transmission, I made a output shaft out of standoff. I think it was a 1.5 inch standoff with 440 threading in it that I bought off eBay. And the problem with that is that you have to grind it out a little bit so it could fit through the bearings in the transmission, which I did. And then I bore out the pulley in order for it to fit on top of the shaft, the output shaft, which is basically the shaft that comes out of the idler gear inside of the transmission. The rear shock tower and the bulkhead were both cut open, you know, trimmed down in order for me to fit the belt through. This is another factory works shock tower that, again, I sent Jeff Millar my original shock tower that I cut up, and it has a whole bunch of holes, and I sent it to him, and he made me this shock tower, which already has the cutout nice and square. It's got holes for B6.1 wing mounts, and it's perfect. I had to cut the bulkhead in order for the belt to go through, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it doesn't touch anywhere. It's got clearance for everything. I'm running 16 tooth pulleys, S3 pulleys on both front and rear transmission. If you notice, I'm missing a belt because when I got the new shock tower, all the holes and everything lined up perfect. You know, I sent them my old shock tower and the brace that I had for the transmission, but when he made it and it's perfect, there's no problem with it. You know, all the holes line up and everything, and mounts correctly. But the problem is that I didn't take into account that when I mounted the transmission was sitting flush with the shock tower. These holes were actually up here. So the belt that I was running on my running video fit perfect. No belt tensioners, no skipping, nothing. It fit perfect. But when I got the new shock tower, that shifted the whole transmission back. So that means that the belt that I was running now became too long. So, you know, I have another set of belts that are coming in probably tomorrow, and that should take care of that problem. And as always, with this project and any other four-wheel drive project that I tried, it was always the belts. It's always about the belts. And then in my RC10 four-wheel drive build, it was always the dog bones. But thankfully, most of the problems are sorted out. The only issue that I have right now, which is not a big deal, is the toe in on down travel, or the toe out, I'm sorry, the toe out on down travel. But other than that, the car runs, jumps, turns great. I wanna try and run it on AstroTurf as soon as I can. I know in our local track, RCHR, they're gonna start maybe a Sunday program, and they're still deciding whether they're gonna run silver can motors or 21.5. But I put a 21.5 motor on this to try it out. Hopefully this Friday I'll get to drive this car on AstroTurf. Waiting for the body. That should be in soon. If not, I have a spare old body that I could use. But the biggest thing is the front belt. That should be in tomorrow. I have servos, I have speed controller, I have receiver, I have transponder for it. So pretty soon you'll see a video of this running on AstroTurf and off-road with a 21.5. People ask me if I could, if it'll handle modified. It should. It's two stealth transmissions. If anything, the biggest weakness that I could see is probably this right here. But I'm just, that's just me overthinking stuff. I give it a good bashing. I let my son drive it outside. There's a running video on the channel. We ran it, we jumped it, we crashed it, we flipped it, and the car was pretty good. Of course, stuff would loosen up, and it's a shakedown. So this screw backed out. One of these screws backed out. This screw backed out. So for this screw, I'm gonna put Loctite so it won't back out. And by backing out, it started eating away at the other rod end that I had on there. I changed it. The steering loosened up because I didn't tighten it tight enough, but that should be okay. And other than that, the car ran great. It jumped awesome. And like I said, I can't wait to run it in RCHR and AstroTurf and see how it does. The chassis is my original RC10 T2 that I bought years ago for Vintage Nationals. This chassis has been gone through a lot of times. It's got a whole bunch of extra holes in it, from mounting the battery and the servo. So, it's not a perfect chassis, but I wanted to do something special, so I sent it to Bateman's Custom Coatings, and he stripped it, he acid etched it, and anodized it red. Came out awesome, for what it is. There was one little spot that no matter what he tried, he couldn't get to he couldn't get it stripped. So I just put a decal on it. That's it. This is gonna be a runner. He's gonna get scratched up. I want to make another version of this car, but single belt, just a belt from here to here without this. I'll probably try to get a better chassis and try to mount everything nice and simple. The battery down the middle. I think it looks cool. A little bit of offset because the electronics gonna be mounted. Well, the speed control is gonna be mounted here, and I don't think it's gonna take away a lot of the steering, but we'll see when we drive it on AstroTurf. Of course, like in every other of my vintage builds, I love the 12mm hex. Yeah, it makes everything nice and smooth, nice and plush, and yeah, I love the way it looks. Again, this is the first breakdown of this car that I'm doing. Once I have it all finished with the servo and all the electronics back in it, again, and the belt and everything and the new body, I'll probably make another video, another breakdown. And once again, once I take it to the track You know, I'll have a first-person view video. I'll have, you know, slow motion video of it and see how it does. Again, it's gonna have a 21.5 motor, which by today's standards is fast. You know, don't be fooled. People think that you need to run big horsepower on these cars, and they're very light. So 21.5 on a four-wheel drive, you might think, oh, it's gonna make it slow. It's AstroTurf. There's a lot of grip. The cars, even we run silver cans on AstroTurf, and they're pretty quick. They're fun. They'll clear all the jumps. So I'm gonna try this 21.5. Have one of my buddies, either Mark or Mark Westerfield, or have Will from RCHR. Have a couple of guys drive my car while I film it and have fun with it.